I'm Gina Hoffman with WWOO California.
I'm Greg Hoffman.
And we're so happy that you're here with us today for our Thanksgiving special. We're going to share with you some great recipes. We're starting with a pumpkin pie, moving on to a Bailey's apple crisp, and a beer bread featuring Elskana Brewing Company, the Citra. Moving on after that to my family recipe, which is a sausage stuffing. And then we're hopping on over to some veggie dishes with roasted sweet potatoes. And then we're moving on to some Brussels sprouts and topping it off, taking the turkeys out of the big green egg. So we hope you enjoy us and you're going to see the versatility of our kitchens today. Glad you're with us.
Making the brine for our smoked turkey. Here I have 8 quarts of water, 1.5 cups of kosher salt, half a cup of brown sugar, and 1 cup of bourbon. I heated the water to dissolve the salt and the sugar. And now I'm going to add 1/3 cup of peppercorn. I have 2 oranges that have been quartered, 1 lemon quartered, 10 whole cloves, and a couple of bay leaves. Add that together and mix it in. Okay, now I'm going to add the brine into the turkeys. I have 2 12-pound turkeys in this bucket. There we go. Now that goes into the fridge. I'm going to cover it and put it in the fridge. I took the turkey out of the brine. It's been sitting in there for about 20 hours. Rinsed them really well and dried them off with paper towels. And now we're going to put on the seasoning. We're going to use a West Coast smoke from California Rancher. We're going to put it on pretty liberally here. Coat everything really good. When we're done coating everything, we're going to stick this in the fridge uncovered for about another 3 or 4 hours just to let it dry out so the skin becomes really crispy and delicious. Okay, so to get the egg ready for the turkeys, what we did was we put some hickory and some apple chips inside the egg, and then we put a pan, a drip pan, down below filled with apple juice, so that apple juice will keep steaming the turkeys as they smoke and keep them nice and moist. Temperature, we have it at 325, and I think we're ready to get the turkeys on. Okay, so I got the turkeys all brined, washed, seasoned, and then refrigerated them for about 4 hours. And now we also stuffed them, tied them off, and now we're going to put them on the egg. The egg's at about 325 right now, and we're going to put them in these little baskets first, and then put them onto the egg to smoke. Go. I'm going to leave them on here for about 4.5 hours.
Hi, so welcome to our pumpkin pie. It's a Libby's pumpkin pie recipe. Super easy, and we're going to cook it on the big green egg. So we're going to start off with our eggs, pouring them in. And the thing that I like to do with my eggs is actually break the yolk first before I whip it up. So then I'm going to whip it. And then the next thing we're going to do is add our dry ingredients. So we're going to put in some sugar, some cinnamon, And this will all be on our website, by the way, all of these recipes. Cloves, ginger, a little bit of salt. And I'll mix that up before I go on to add the pumpkin. Now we're going to add the pumpkin mix, which is just 1 can of Libby's pumpkin pie filling. Mix that up a little bit, and then we'll add our sweetened condensed milk. Mix it up really, really well. And then we're putting it into our pie crust. There will be an extra amount in the bowl here, so you just want to be careful. And there we have it. We're ready to drop it into a big green egg. Greg, what temperature is a big green egg at?
We've got it at 425.
Let me help you out.
And then we're going to drop it down to 350 for about another 50 minutes after that. So on here I have the convector, the large convector, and I also put the small convector on top of that, so we have kind of a double insulation, so the bottom of the pie doesn't burn. So here we go. We'll go for 15 minutes. We're at 425.
Check it out just a little bit.
Right, so it's been 15 minutes and we're at 425, and now I want to drop it down to 350, and just want to show you a good way to do that. How I do it anyways is to just kind of close the vents temporarily, top and bottom, and then what I'll do is I'll just kind of burp the egg and get the hot air out, and then close it again, and that's going to help just to get the hot air out, but the vents are closed. So the air will actually increase the temperature. So basically what we want to do is just kind of open it up just for a couple seconds, close it back down, and then that'll help to drop the temperature down. I'll do that probably every couple minutes, and already it's starting to drop down to 400 from 425. So I'll do that maybe 3 or 4 more times with maybe a minute or 2 in between. And that'll help to get the temperature down to 350, and then we're going to go from for another 50 minutes at 350 degrees with this pie.
Beautiful.
All right, it's time for the pumpkin pie to come out. Let's take a look. Woo. Wow, look at that. Beautiful. I think it came out pretty darn good. Pumpkin pie on the big green egg.
So we're getting ready for our apple crisp now. I've already sliced 7 Granny Smith apples, and I'm saved this one so you guys don't have to watch me peel every single one of these things and cut them all up. But basically you just peel the skin off. Granny Smith we like because there's a nice bite to it, but whatever apple you prefer, you can absolutely use. And you need 8 of them for this recipe. And then what we do is we just cut them in half so you have some nice big chunks. This one here is a little big, so you can cut it. You can eyeball it, see what you think. We're going to grab our bowl here with the apples, put these guys in there. And then we have 2 tablespoons of flour that we're going to put on top of the apples. Just mix it in. While we do this, and we finish this up, then we're going to go over and melt all of our wet ingredients to go on the apple crisp. So now we're ready to melt the wet ingredients for the apple crisp. I'm going to open up the green egg. We already have a pan in here. And we're going to start off with unsalted butter. We have 2 sticks. Kerrygold, my favorite. So we're putting that in the pan to melt. And you can hear it sizzling away, so you can move it around, help it along. And once your butter's completely melted, then we're going to put in the brown sugar. That's the next ingredient. So now we're putting in 2 cups of brown sugar. And then we put in some cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla extract, a little bit of salt, and then a little apple pie Baileys, because you know, makes everything taste better. We're going to mix all that up, melt it real good, and then we'll pull this off. And Greg's going to come over and help me take this off the big green egg. Greg, we're ready?
Yep.
We're ready to put our dry ingredients together to make the crisp, the topping.
Beautiful.
So we're going to take our bowl and we're going to start with our oats. We have 2 cups of oats. We have 2 cups of flour that we're putting in. And we're going to get our whisk and just start whisking these up to blend them together before we put in the rest of our ingredients. So now we're going to add 1/2 cup of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And then we'll put in 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt. We're going to mix all these up. This is our crumble that will go over the whole top of this. And the really cool part and exciting part that I can't wait for you guys to see, we're cooking this in this thing right behind me. It's called a Braai. And they are amazing. We're cooking a couple of things. The stuffing in there later on, this apple crisp. So what we're doing now is this is our pan. We're starting with our apples. We're putting that in first. So we're just spreading them out. Greg, if you could help me pour that, since it's nice and warm.
Alrighty.
Pour it right on top of there. Make it pretty even.
Okay.
All the way. And I'll just mix it up a little bit. So all that gooey goodness. We want to cover all the apples. So we don't see any of the white on the apples. We're going to take our crumble and start pouring that over the top. And you want to basically cover the whole thing. Okay, here you go. It's on you, and we're putting that in the Braai. Let's go for it.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna put it in here. We put a pizza stone up on top just to help to keep hold some of that heat and reflect it back down into the top of this apple crumble. So we're gonna go ahead and just slide it way into the back and let that go for what, half
an hour.
Half hour. Yep. So I wanted to show you guys our dark gray kitchen we have set up here today. We have several components. I'm going to start with our WWOO sink. It's a high quality stainless steel sink. Very modern, sleek design to it. Next up we have our Braai. It's made out of Corten steel. It gives you both ambiance and it gives you a way to cook as well. Here we have our Dutch oven, which with this little arm that can slide into the fire, so you can cook, you know, a stew, or we're actually going to do the stuffing in here today. Next you have right here is basically like a coal maker, and it gives you the heat element in the middle, so it can cook to the sides. We're putting hickory wood into this. That'll burn down, the coals will drop down below, and then you can brush it over to the sides of the oven to be able to cook with both of those. The other thing I love about this is that it slides down into the grooves, and so it's all self-supported, and it's just a great thing. So, all right, next up we have the XL Big Green Egg. it's a little big for our countertops, so what we've come up with is a Corten steel box, which is great for stacking firewood into the Corten steel. It's it fits in great with our Corten steel Braai as well. Right now we have the turkeys in here that we're smoking. I can give you a quick sneak peek of the turkeys we have in here right now. Wow, those look beautiful, don't they? And so this is our dark gray kitchen, and I just want to show you really quick. It's only made of 4 components. It's pretty simple. You've got a small shelf, you have a large shelf, you have a back piece, and you have a post. And with those 4 concrete elements, you can make a beautiful kitchen like this.
Hi there, welcome back. We're making beer bread with our favorite brewery's beer, Skillet Brewing Company. Greg, of course, will have a really rough assignment here of enjoying a Mayberry IPA.
Well, you said something about beer, so I thought I'm supposed to drink one. So.
That's right. Absolutely.
I've got a Mayberry, and I think we're going to use a Citra on this beer bread we're making right now.
Yeah. So what we're using are 3 cups of self-rising flour. Really simple recipe, 3 ingredients. This butter we're going to use to actually make it nice and delicious at the end. We're putting in some sugar, and then we pour our beer in. And once that's in, we're going to mix it all up. So it's a 12-ounce bottle of beer that you have to put in for 3 cups of flour. And then with the sugar, you're putting in roughly half a cup of sugar. You're just mixing it all up. Simplest bread. They say that when you're making beer bread, you should use a beer that you like to drink. It's the same thing when you're cooking with wine. You really want to use a wine that you enjoy drinking. And it makes a big difference in the way the bread tastes. So we're almost there. Kneaded it, moved it around, put some elbow grease into it. And now we're going to get our bread dish. What I like to do is take this butter right here and just go ahead and coat everything you can, all the little cracks and crevices, the sides, even at the top, because this bread might puff up and go over the edges. And then once we do that, we are going to go ahead and put in our dough. So, grab it. Go ahead and put it in. Wow, great. I'm spreading the last little bit here, and really, this is a very rustic bread, so you don't need to worry if it doesn't look perfect. It'll look absolutely beautiful when it comes out of the oven. And of course, butter makes everything taste real good. So I go ahead and smear some butter on the top. And Greg is going to go ahead and give us a little insight on how he got his temperature to 375 degrees on Big Green Egg, because that's what it takes to cook this.
Okay, so let's put this on the egg here. We're slightly low. I'm going to open the vent a little bit. We're at 350 right now. We want to be at 375, but we're pretty close. So I'm going to open this baby up. I've got a pizza stone down inside of here just to help kind of deflect some of the heat. And we're going to let it cook for 40 minutes at 375. Right, so I think the beer bread is ready. We made this with El Segundo Citra, and it's been on for about 45 minutes, and it looks amazing.
Oh,
look at that. Beer bread on the Big Green Egg.
So now we're making a potato dish. It's absolutely beautiful to look at. It looks like a big flower. What I did ahead of time is I went ahead and sliced the potatoes. I used russet potatoes, sliced them to basically an au gratin size. And the beautiful thing that I learned a few years ago during Thanksgiving was you can cut your potatoes as long as they're submerged in water, they won't turn brown. So what we're going to do first is put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of our pan to get it ready. And And then we start, and it's, you know, like you're making a flower. So you really want to fan out your pieces. Use the larger pieces on the outside and the smaller pieces on the inside. And we're going to make a couple of layers. I like this dish because I thought, gosh, it just looks so pretty. And then you go into your next row here in the middle. And you just continue all the way through until you get the bottom layer covered, bottom of the pan. So we're going to put a little bit of salt all over, a little bit of pepper, and then what I'm going to do is you take little pieces of butter and you start spreading them out all over. This we will cook direct heat on the big green egg because we want the bottom to get crispy. Then what I have here, white cheddar and pepper jack. So we're going to go ahead and spread that on the top. And again, it's up to you, your preference. If you like things a little bit cheesier, you can put more. Not as cheesy, you don't have to use cheese at all if you really don't want to. But what's nice about this is it'll tie it all in together, starting with our next layer. So now again, we're going to take the salt, sprinkle it all over. And the pepper, you sprinkle it all over. Cheese. Before we put it in the egg, I cut a piece of parchment paper to put on top. Once this bakes for about 40 minutes, we put a weighted pan, like a cast iron pan, on top of it to push it down. We're getting ready to put it into the big green egg now. The temperature is about 450 degrees, and it's direct heat. And there we have it. So in about 30 minutes, we're going to put a cast iron skillet on top of the parchment paper to weight it down so it'll really crisp up the bottom of the potatoes. So now what we're going to do, this is the final step for about 5 minutes. We're going to put something weighted on top. 5 minutes we'll come back and they'll be ready to go. So here we are, it's been 5 minutes. We're going to take off the potatoes. First we have to remove the heavy component there and go ahead and take that off, Craig. Put it onto our table over here. We're going to take off the parchment paper, and there you have it. Absolutely delicious. So I want to give you a little tour of our white kitchen. This is a 4-segment. Our segments come in 5-foot sections. They can start at like 4'3" up to 6'6", and these posts can be cut to those lengths as well. What's great about this is the versatility of it. So we have large shelves here, a large shelf, and we have accessories that come along with it. These wooden crates that we make, which are beautiful and functional as well. We have towel bars that are made of stainless steel that just hops right onto the concrete kitchen. As you come down, you'll see that we have a small shelf, and you're able to have herbs, plates, whatever it is that you need. This is the versatility of this kitchen depending on the size and the space that you have. This is a large green egg. We have 2 large green eggs, but we certainly can accommodate different types of Kamado Joe, a Fuego, Soleil grill, different types of grills. We actually send you a scale rendering so that you know exactly what you're getting before you order. As we come down, this is something that we also offer, which is if you wanted to have something to make like corn on the cob or baked beans or chili, this is something where you put natural charcoal just like in the baked green egg, and you can use this to enhance whatever you're cooking. We also make cutting boards, which come right over the lip. This is great so that, you know, it holds on nice and tight. We've actually added some lighting. It'll help illuminate this when you're cooking in the evening or showing whatever it is that you have going on here on the kitchen. 4 components, very, very simple. You have a post, you have a small shelf, you have a back piece, and you have a large shelf. They come in 5-foot segments. We have a great team here in-house at the WWOO so that we can send you a rendering so you know exactly what you're getting. So hopefully we'll hear from you guys soon. 3 colors. We have a white, light gray, and dark gray. And we're excited to work with you.
All right, I'm back. Guy with the gloves. You know, the one that takes everything off the green egg. And our turkeys are ready. They're at 165. They've been on for about 4 hours now. And there they are. Beautiful. Amazing. I'm going to take the temperature gauge out. We've got them on these racks, these big green egg racks. Make it very easy to take them out and transfer them right over to here. So I'm just putting them here for now. We're gonna let them rest here for about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll take them off and transfer them right onto the tray. And in about 20-25 minutes, we'll start to carve them up. Turkey on the big green egg. It's amazing.
So now we're on to one of my family's most favorite dishes of Thanksgiving, sausage stuffing. And I need to melt the butter inside the chicken stock. So I'm actually using a great tool from the Big Green Egg. It's their Dutch oven. And it has these handles on top. It'll work perfectly with the braai that I have behind me. So what I'm doing now is taking about 4 cups of chicken stock and pouring it into our Dutch oven, because this is actually where we're making the stuffing. But first we need to bring this up a little bit in temperature and melt the butter. So once I do that and put that in there, and we put our top back on, and we're going to carry it over and swing it in on the arm. And then you push it inside. And then we let the braai do its magic. So we just took off out of the Dutch oven here from the braai. The chicken broth and the butter completely melted. So now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. Earlier I sauteed some shiitake mushroom, celery, and onions. And so now what we're going to do is add that to the broth mixture. And then Jimmy Dean sage sausage, can't go wrong with that. So we're putting that in here, 2 tubes of it. We're using 2 bags of Pepperidge Farm stuffing mix. And this is something that our family fights over. They love it. And then lastly, we add the breadcrumbs. And so what I'm doing is I add them slowly and start mixing them in. You really want to see that all of the moisture has been absorbed into the breadcrumbs. It will pick up some when you put it on the braai back there. It will continue to absorb the liquid. So now that we have it all mixed, we're going to head on over and put it back in the braai. And that'll take about half an hour, 45 minutes to crisp up and really soak in all those juices.
All right, I think the stuffing's ready, so we're going to take that off. We're going to swing out the arm here. Take a look at it really quick. Looks delicious. All right, we'll take this and put this right here. There's our stuffing from the WWOO braai. Amazing.
So today we've given you a tour of our white kitchen and our dark gray kitchen. We also have a light gray kitchen, and for more information you can check it out at woos.com. That's WWOOUS.com, or You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at WWOO California. We'd love for you to be part of the movement. Hi, so now we're making the butternut squash. First, what we're going to do is cut up some sage here. This is fresh sage, bunch of sage, which is great. So you want to cut them into small pieces. I think earlier I said we were doing sweet potatoes. That was my bad. We're doing butternut squash. So we're almost done, giving this a nice chop. We're going to go ahead and take some olive oil, sprinkle that over the top. It calls for about 2 tablespoons. I love olive oil, so I'm doing a little bit more. Brown sugar, sprinkle that over the top. Get your salt. You definitely want to salt this up nice. Nice liberal pinch of salt. Same thing with the pepper. And then we take our sage, spread that out all over the whole thing. And just to top it off, why not? A little bit of maple syrup. Now we're just going to mix this up in the cast iron skillet. And we're going to throw it into the braai behind me to let it cook up. So now we're going to go ahead and put this in the braai. I'm putting it on the upper shelf because, as you can see, there's a little bit of a flame on the lower shelf. We can bring it down to the lower shelf, but we don't want that much heat on it right away. So we're bringing it on over. I put this on the top shelf all the way in the back and let the braai do its magic. I'm going to leave that in there for about 30 to 45 minutes. You just have to keep checking it. You have to stir it a little bit in the process just to make sure that all of the sides are nice and caramelized. So he's going to go grab the butternut squash.
We got a pizza stone on top just to help it get a little hotter. Look at that. Beautiful.
Oh.
So this is our last dish that we're making, Brussel sprouts with pancetta and red onion. So we're going to go ahead and cut the red onion, peel off the outside layer, and you can cut it up, you know, on the finer side. I like the strips, like this. Take our olive oil and liberally pour the olive oil on your Brussels sprouts. It gets in all the nooks and crannies. This was, I think, a 1 pound bag. We cut them in half. And again, we're using the cast iron skillet because it'll caramelize the outside of them. We're using pancetta, 4 ounces of pancetta. We put that in there. And put a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. Put our onions in there. Make sure everything's coated evenly. And once it's all coated evenly, we're going to put it into the big green egg with direct heat. Greg's going to help me out by opening it up. We're cooking this at about 425 for about 40 minutes, direct heat. And we'll come back and check on it in a bit. And now you want to go grab the Brussels sprouts?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Brussels sprouts with pancetta and onions.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Can't wait to dive in.
Look at this feast.
So from all of us here at WWOO California, we are so happy to celebrate this with you, and we hope that your family has a healthy and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy.